Hine mizeh yuvan toises biur. From this, we'll understand additional explanation of Mashin is by Lemailo to this which was explained above. So, but there we explained the difference between Chochmas Timo and Midas. The Chochmas Timo Atzmo, he beginas the Lav Mikol Ilu Midas Klal. That Chochmas Timo itself is in the level which we say about Hashem, the Lav Mikol Ilu Midas Klal, that he is not at all of the Midas, meaning he is beyond measure. The Chochmas Timo is higher. And then we said, V'zo b'chinas emes. And this is the level of truth. The level of truth that it's always. So he explains, Eina kavona chas v'sholem. We're not trying to say, God forbid, Shem b'chinas emes lo nimshchu ha'pu'ulos v'ha'toives ha'boes ma'amidus racham v'cham. So we had the different level, the different tikunei dikna, and then we had kel rachum v'chanun erechapayim v'rav chesed. Then we have the emes. So we said, okay, that's emes is the level of Meichas Timor. That's the tikkun zayin. But the other tikkunim, the level of racham v'chanun, that's level of midas. And so we're not trying to say that from the level of emes, so when there is the activities of the midas, such as racham v'chanun, we're going to say that that's not emes. No, that's not what we're trying to say here. And the reason we're going to say that they don't come from emes because since they're considered to be nothing, so that's not true. Why? That all the creations, everything comes from Hashem's true creation, which means that everything comes, in the bottom line, everything comes from Hashem. Everything comes from the level of emes. Okay, now, as we said before, that what is the pirush of emes means hainu she'ein toivoi v'hashpa'asei posek la'olam. That the Hashem's goodness and Hashem's flow never stops. It always goes on. That's emes. This water is not like those waters that dry out. All the goodness is never stops. So basically, one can understand that when you get the hamshacha from the level of chokhmah, then that's true, because over there it's totally bottled. There's no measure. It's chokhmah stimor. But when it comes from the level of racham v'chanun, that's not Hashem. That's not emes. That's not Hashem. That's not possible to say such a thing, because we know that everything comes from Hashem. There's no such a thing as not coming from Hashem. Everything comes from the emes. What do we mean when we say that you get from the level of emes, level of chokhmah stimor, rakakavone? What our intention is here, shahashpoah va'oir nimshach, that the flow, the light extends, shaloi al derech not in the similar way when the flow comes to the midas. There is hamshach, everything comes from the Eibishter, but there is hamshacha that comes from the Eibishter through the level of midas, And there is Hamshacha that comes from the Eibishter through the level of Chochmah. When it comes from the level of Midas, Sha'elam is Tovsi Mokim. Over there, the worlds take up space. They're important. That's why there is these midos. So there is a midah of Hashem because He considers the world. The world takes up space. But when we talk about Chochmas Timoah, El Shabbos Kol HaTov HaOir Shelo Yalidei B'chinas Yispalus HaMidas Klal. The light, the good, and the light comes not through the effect of midas of the Chochmas Timoah. That means in the light of the face of the king there is Chaim, where is a level which is not impacted by the midas at all. And this is why truth is Loishanisi, didn't change. Which means she'ein shum shinui v'yispalus. There is no change. There's no effect. That's the source of good, all good that never stops. So basically, it's whether the Hamshacha comes from a place where the world does have some recognition over there. That's the level of midos, the measures. And that's a limited kind of Hamshacha. Or it comes in a Hamshacha through the level of Chochmas Timoah, which is not limited, which is not affected, not connected to the midas at all. And that comes without any stop. Now, the truth is that even the measure of Atzilus, it's not the pshat that they're really measured, they're not of the same value and category of the midas of Biyah. The ein hamida b'chinas hispilus b'shinu chas v'shalom, and the midah, the way it's in Atzilus, it's not in a level of being impacted, in a level of hispilus and change. God forbid. Moshe Kosu b'Igeres HaKodesh Divrei HaMaschil L'Hovin Moshel L'Militzor B'Shem HaMagid Nishmosei Eden. In the name of the Magid, in the Pirush Mashikosu Avram, Vanoichi offer ve'efer chulu. Avram said, I am offer ve'efer. He explains over there that the level, that Avram's level relative to Avram's levels of chesed is the same as the ashes left over from a fire of the piece of wood. Is there any relationship from a piece of wood before it was burnt, and then you have a little ashes? There's no comparison. Moshe Rabbeinu's, Avraham Avinu saying that he is the level of chesed is the same connection like the Efer is connected to the wood. So that really means that the chesed is in a much higher madrega than we can say. So when we talk about the midas of Biyah over there, it's a limitation, but the limitation of the midas in Atzilus is on a much higher, it's not comparable at all. Parshas Vayera, the midas the Biyah, the midas Atzilus. How do the midas of Biyah evolve from midas Atzilus? Well, derech Mashamer Azal, ein l'chokol eisav chulu. So Just like the rabbis say that in order for an Esav to grow, there is a mazel that tells it to grow, and we know that is a big distance. The malach who bangs on the Esav and says it to grow has a very small connection to the actual Esav, the physical grass that is growing. Similar, the connection between Midas of Atzilus and the Midas of Biyah is very, very distant. It's not in the same level at all. It's like the mazel that is making the Esav grow. That is even the measures of Atzilus. If you talk the midas the way they're higher than Atzilus, their path is higher and higher than the midas of Atzilus. So it almost seems, while before we were trying to say that midas is this pilus, midas is a limited way, only the level of moichin gives you, but really talking about midas atzilus, it's on a much higher madrega. It's not like regular midas or biyah, but still. But yet, notwithstanding that they are in a high madrega, legabe amitas oirein sof baruch hu ba'atzmai. When you want to measure relative to the true infinite of blessed be he by himself, also it does not apply at all even the level of midas that are higher. In the Ein Sof, we don't even have midas. Even midas that are beyond Atzilus don't connect at all to the level of Ein Sof. And therefore, the midas, what are the midas? The midas are the Hashem Kel Racham B'Chanon. Those are the Yud Gimel midas Harachamim. Therefore, how do we extend those levels from the midas, from the Yud Gimel midas? They come through the level of here. That's what the Yud Gimel Tikkun Dikna, that restricted little bit of light, like in a hair. So, Hatoiv Kiloi Cholu Rachamecha. So, Hatoiv is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hatoiv, he's the source of good. By him is Loi Cholu Rachamecha. The Rachamim have not ended. So, what does it mean? Shabechinas uvetuvoi. The level of Hashem's uvetuva and His goodness, who adayin lemailo mehamidus. That's higher than midas. Hanikra kiloi cholu rachamecha. The level of midas, we tell them, your compassion have not ended. Those are the Yud Gimel midas. Lo cholu rachamecha, but hatoiv. That is the level of Yud Gimel midas. Allah, shemebchinas uvetuvoi, but from the level of vituvoi, nimshochin Yud Gimel midas kilechol rachamecha. So from there they come liyas kilechol rachamecha. From hatoiv, from the level which is higher than midas, it's nimshach kilechol rachamecha. Upirush kiloi chavu. What does it mean kiloi chavu? Hayne k'moshe kosuv beidra daf kuf lamed gal gimel lamed beis. The chesed, the atik, u chesed dikshoit. That the chesed of adik is the true chesed. The hainu, that is chesed shel emes. That's a chesed of truth. Pirush tamidei harizal she'einu nishkloilo. It means it's a chesed of truth that it always continues. It continues continuously. The efshel gamkein hapirush she'tikun ve'emes im ha'yoseh l'mayla Mahamidas, that the tikkun hamid, even though it's higher than midas, afal pikein meir gamkein harose b'chol hamidus. When we do the tikkun ve'emes, we say the seventh tikkun, and we say that is higher than all the other midas. That's the level of chokhmas timah. But yet, afal pikein, it also gets into all the midas. The pasuk says chesed ve'emes nivgoshu. The chesed, the midas, and emes met together. This is the idea of tapuach tzayar. Velochein nikra chesed ikshoid chesed mamash. The answer to the long frenzy. That's why it's called chesed shalem mamash. V'zeu inyan chisomoy shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu emes. And this is what we say, that what is Hashem's seal is emes. When we say the emes in the Yud Midos, the Tikkun Shvi is the emes. Ki ne'iker b'chinas emes hainu k'shemasig ha'chokhmah v'yedei eshkeinu. When is the real truth is when you understand the chokhmah and you know that that's the way it is. Mashenkin k'she'adayim b'chinas helem v'ayin le'roso, when it is still in a way of hidden, and you don't yet you don't have to get it. How the you do emes? The truth is not known. So it says v'lochein chokhmos timo atzmo. So when we talk chokhmos timo atzmo by itself, kamoshina lemes v'loy shechiyach v'loy ispater, when it's still hidden and it's not common, not found, it's not been developed, you have it just in the chokhmos timo, and shaykh lekroiz hadayin emes, then you can't call it emes. Ad shenimshach mimenu ha'ora v'gilui, until a ray and the revelation comes to b'chinas trein tapuchim on the two tapuchim, the two cheeks, the two b'chinas eir pnei melech, then become eir pnei melech. So up till then, it's not emes yet because you don't know it, you don't get it. You need to come down and grasp it. That's why we call it the seal. Just like the seal is doing, stamping it. So likewise, when you have in the face, that's the seal. That's how the sign of so that is like the level of asiyah relative to the Ezra, which is the person's mind, from which the shine of his face comes. So that sustains everything. So in other words, even though it's only the level of asiyah, an extension of the essence of the chokhmah, which is in the mind of the person, from which the shine of the face comes, but everything is, the seal is the one that seals it. That is the one that signs off on it. Everything goes by the signature. Likewise, it's above. The ha'aras panim comes from the level of the essence of chokhmas timah. And therefore, hagam shenechsha b'chinas asiyah legabe mehuz ve'atzvis chokhmas timah. Even though that it's considered a level of asiyah relative to chokhmas timah, but yet, Mikomokim Zeu Kiyum HaKol. that sustains it all. So you need that when it shines in the face, when it comes out in the Maisa, that is the sustaining, that's the seal, that's the chosim. So inyan v'chosmeinu b'sefer achayim, and we say seal us in the sefer achayim, or we say v'chosmeinu b'sefer parnosa, ki b'or pnei melachayim. In the light of that's where you get the hey. Hine ksiv. Also, the pasuk says titer emes liYaakov. Give emes to Yaakov. Here we're talking about emes is the level of chochmas on Torah Ponov, but Yaakov is the level of midos. Yaakov is the level of tiferes, chesed gvura tiferes, which is the level of zoh. And here we're saying, give the level of emes, give it to Yaakov, give it to the level of midos. Pirush Yaakov hu zoh, uboy hu iker b'chinas emes. Yaakov is zoh, and that's where the main emes is. Ki hayud gimel mitzrach v'kerach chulu be'emes chulu. Shomer Moshe, when Moshe said it, haynu shehimshich hayud gimel midos, what he did was he brought down the 13 midos, marech ampin lezo liyis boy gam boy yud gimel midos. It should also be yud gimel midos. Moshe kosu beidra the nosei dafkuf lamadal from the base dafkuf lam chesed madal. Was nikra ve'emes, then it's called ve'emes. So you're megala the ve'emes. So v'agam she'emes ulamayla ba'atika. Even though really emes is above in atik, v'shom daike mokra emes u'kenal, and over there is the source of truth. Ach einoi begilu adayim, but over there it's not yet revealed. Abol kishanimshach bezoh, when it comes to the zoh, mizgala, that's revealed. That's when we call it the emes. For them, the truth is known. Zoh inyan is takluso de zoh beponim d'arichampim. This is the idea when zoh looks in the face of arichampim. Vayidei zeh mekabel. And that's the way he gets Kuf Nun 150, Bereish Chof, and 220 Nahorin lights. In the level of Atik, there is we learned many times there is 370 lights, Shin Ayin Nahorin, that shine from the face of Arich Ampin. And sometimes Zoh gets 150 of the 200 at 370. So that's why there's 250 and 220. 220 and 250 is 370. Right? I mean 150. Sorry, not. I mean 150 and 220 is 370. Sometimes he gets Kuf Nun, sometimes he gets 150, and sometimes he gets 220. Ein shom parshas nosei kuf lamed aleph aleph mitrei tapuchim nihiri and poi the zoh, that from these two tapuchim that shines to the face of zoh. V'cheinu daf kuf lam gimel beis v'daf kuf lamed zayin beis, that nihiri and poi, that the face shines chulu v'ayin daf kuf lamed hey so from the base. Arichin, and the long ones, Arichin, begin the Ashgach. V'hainu, so you have, sometimes they get Arichin. Arichin is the long ones, that would be the 220. V'hainu shezo nimshach loy kuf nun, mashin nayin nahirin shebepronim da'arichampin. That Zoh receives 150 of the 370 lights that is in the face of Arichampin. Balkain, and that's why Nikro Ze'er, that's why we call him Ze'er Ampin, Zoh, the small face, because he only gets 150. The Fishanishar, because it remains Erech Oides there's 220 lights, Mashinai that did not extend to him. Sometimes he gives him all the 370. That means Arichin, also the Reish Chof. Vayim Beitzchaim Shoyet Sev Shara Rechampin. Vayim Bidre Zutra, Daf Reish Peiches on the base. V'oid Yesh Dvorim Begoy. There's further matters over here. So there we're saying that Emes goes to Yaakov, that the level from Arechampin goes to Zeirampin. Some of the light of Arechampin comes down. That's when the revelation, that's when the truth is, when you can grasp it. And there's further, who that from Zoh extends to Malchus. Shehimoker dibya. From Zeirampin goes to Malchus, which is the source of Biyah. Malchus is the source of Biyah. So from there we get a Horasponim, Shenimshach by Marachampin. So Zoh gives to Malchus to Biyah from the Horasponim it received from Arachampin. V'zeu einecho yonim. And this is what the pasuk says, your eyes are like pigeons. What does it mean? K'moi zug yonim, like a peer, a pigeon, shemistaklin tomid zel zeh misagin chulu. They're always looking at each other. They're getting pleasure from each other, the peer of the pigeons. Likewise, Kain Malchus, V'kacha Malchus. This is a pasuk, Enecha Yonim. So V'kacha Malchus, V'kabelas. Ha'oris ponim de Zoh, Malchus received the shining face of Zoh, Ma'ashemeir by ponim de Arachampin. That which the ponim of Arachampin in the ponim of Zoh, that goes to Malchus. Zoh Yoir Hashem ponim v'elacho, ki the Pirush be'idra parshas Noyach, Yoir Hashem ponim v'elacho, explain the idra parshas Nosei, Kuf Lamed Gimel Beis, u'bezoyer v'schanan daf rish samach, Aleph Omid Aleph, Gabi ponim diber chul face to face, the Pirush HaRamaz, in the explanation of Ramaz, Sha'aponim darich ampin, Nislapshu beponim de Zoh, the face on terestap in the front of Zoh, the diberi mochem, ponim beponim diberi mochem, that spoke you with you. Over Migdash Melech Pirush, Zoh nislabish b'malchus. That Zoh came to Malchus, so it's either Zoh spoke to them, because Arichampin in the face of Zoh, they are in Zeirampin. Migdash Melech says that Zoh nislabish b'malchus, and that came there, comes through both of Nukva. Over there in Malchus is the main seal. The Zahu, Malchus, when it comes down to the level of Malchus, that's where final seal, that's what we say for Malchus. Why you Malchus? That Silus Moker Hanivroim. Malchus, that Silus is the source of all creations. But when it goes up during Ne'ilah, it goes up to the Dikna, the beard of Arechampin. And from the level of the Oras Ponim, when it goes up, when Malchus goes up, always there, extends to the Bechinas Chisomish LaKodesh Baruch Hu Emes. This is the additional here. Said Bezehu Titen Emes LeYaakov. You give Emes LeYaakov when it goes up, you get the level of Emes, the level of Oras Ponim. Now it makes sense why it's called a choisem, shehu b'chinas asiyah, which is the level of asiyah. Ki hamalchus hi b'chinas asiyah shebatzilus Legabe HaKeser, for Malchus is called Asiya within Atzilus relative to Keser, Shenikra Atzilus Sheba Atzilus. And this comes to Malchus. Rabbi Chaim, Shar Tfilos Veshor Perikal Bekavonas, Melech Oizenu Meshia Omogin, Ki Yesh Lo Ato. So he says Moshiach, because now it has Kol Hashin Ayin Ribu Nohedim Shebefonim Darichampi. Look at there, over there he says he gets all the levels of Arichampi. Rabbi Chaim Shar Bekavon Perikal. So Inyan Vayichtav Moshe as Motzeiim L'Masei. Moshe wrote it. Ki Moshe hu Sheshvina the Malka. Moshe is the support of the king. Shemanig Hamshochas in Sof. He leads the bringing out in Sof. V'imshich mebchinas Motzeiim from the source. She'inyan Moker Neshama Yisrael. Motzeiim is the source where the Yidden come. L'shoin from the language Motzamayim, the source of the water. So V'hainu. In Etzem HaNeshamas, Haim Olu b'Machshava, because the Neshamas, they went up to the level of Machshava. So that starts from the level of Machshava. However, the source, Hu Ba'atzmus Ein Sof Bala Machshava. The source is in the master of the thought, Bala Rotze. So that's why that's Motzeiim. Why is it Motzeiim? So there should be their journey. They're getting from the source so they can elevate. They should be able to go in the level of B'chol Meidecha. Hainu liyus is gabrus abad nefesh alikis, to have the strengthening of the love of the nefesh alikis, ad shekama yitzer hara yoshuv lavas Hashem, to the extent that even the yitzer hara will return to the love of Hashem. Shozu b'chinas tov ma'od, that's the level of tov ma'od. Very good, like we say, that's the malach hamavis, when you change around the yitzer hara also. Shegedei liyos halozu, so the liyos tchila milamaylo. You need first Hamshachas Chech L'mayla. In order to get it, you need first power from above. V'anoichi tirgalti le'Ephraim kochem al zroises. So anoichi tirgalti le'Ephraim means that Eibishter lowered himself down to take him on his lap. So when a father wants to raise his child, he has to bend down and pick him up to put it down. When the Eibishter wants to raise us up, he has to first bend down. First, he lowers his height. Then he can raise him on his hands. We're saying that the power for this halah is through the Hamshacha from the Chaysomesh LaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is Emes. We'll move on, and explained before, the Bechinas Emes, Hainu K'meshu Levadi Hu Ve'ein Zulos. That's the level where it's just Hashem, there's nobody else there. And V'lochein Nikra Chochmei Lo, V'lochein Chochmei Lo Nikra Emes. That's why we call Chochmei Lo, because it's not yet descended. Lefi Shezehu Madregas Chochma Shu B'chinas Bittul Mamish, the level of Chochma Bittul Mamish. K'mashikosu B'sefer Shbeinu B'Periklam B'Agor. Lochein B'chinas Emes Nimshach Hamshochas HaBittul Gam Kein Lamata. So that's why from this level of Emes, it also extends below Liyas Bittul HaYesh to Bittul HaYesh. Lochein HaKoyach Liyas HaKoyach HaLov HaBittul Hu Al Yidei Vayichtav Moshe. That's through Moshe writing Shehimshich Gam Lamato B'chinas Emes. So we have to have that bittul, because in essence this Emes is only above. Moshe Rabbeinu gives this bittul through Vayichtav Moshe Shehimshich Gam Lamato B'chinas Emes. From level Emes, U'Kameshkot says Emes Hashem Loilam. to bring down the truth of Hashem into the world. That when you bring down the Chokhmah, the bittul from Chokhmah Lamato, bittul yesh. Why do we say he brought down the moitzaehem, their source? They brought down that emes. That is like we said before. Even though you didn't come from Machshava, but their root, their source, where they rooted, that is the master of the world, that is Hashem himself. That is the source of the water that does not, the waters never lie there, it's always there. Emes. That's the level of emes. The pasuk says, they left me, the source of Mayim Chaim, which means we come rooted in this Mayim Chaim. Also the power for that union of Zoh and Nukva, and Malchus, of the Neshamas himself comes, that is through looking at Ari Champin. Ayin, the Zoyar, Shlach Kuf Samach Gimel Beis, that it says, Emes Kolu Dachra V'Nukva K'choda. Emes includes male and the female, Zohar Rekeva together. Ayin B'Zoyar Chelik Beis, B'Shalach, that's the Yichud which the Neshama Yisrael come from. V'ayim B'Zoyar Chelik Beis B'Shalach Nun Zayin Beis, and Yisroi Peites Aleph, and Tzadik Soif Amad Aleph, B'Inyan Emes L'Yakov, and the Emes L'Yakov, and Zoyar Chelik Aleph, in when we're doing Zohar Chelik Aleph in Lech Lecha Tzadik Vav Aleph, and Chelik Gimel in Vayikra Yud Beis Beis, and in Achrei Ayin Gimel Beis, and in Nosoi Kuf Lamed Aleph Beis and Kuf Lamed Daled Aleph, and then in Vaschana Samach Zayin Aleph Zin Yisrael. Vayim Hashikosav Aposik Ve'ela HaMishpotim. So over there it says, Ekshe Moshe Mamshich Hadas L'Nshomas Yisrael. Moshe brings down Das L'Nshomas Yisrael. V'Amshocha Zu, and that's Amshocha is Kisikne Hu Inyan Kisikne Eved Ivri. That's when he buys, which means he's Mamshich Hainu Mibchinas Ever Hanor Yoshua V'Seichem, from the level of Ever Hanor Ayin Shok. That means that Moshe Rabbeinu is the Vayichtoi, because he can bring down from the source of the Neshamas Yisrael, the Shushvina, the Malkov, Zo Inyan Moitza Ehem, and this is the source Shemibchinas Ever Hanor, from the other side of the river, meaning it's from the Arechampin, or from the level of Emes. V'amshochas Hadas Hu Mamesh Mitikun Ve'emes. That taka comes from Emes. V'meshikosa Ramad Repas Vayikra. V'hinei Shochis Zeruso the Leila Zu the B'chinas Vayichtav Moshe as Moitza Ehem Hu Alidei Seka Torah. That comes through the occupation in Torah. That Mamer Azal, like our sages tell us, Hamoir Shabo Machzir Lamoto, the luminary within Torah brings them to the good. So in other words, where do you have this? Moshe writes down in the Torah, that's where you have the power. Torah's emes, that's what we call Torah's emes. It has the level of emes, the level of Uvair Panecha, Nosat Alonu Torah's Chai. Zeu Kosveim Aluach Libecha, write them on the Luch Libecha. The Hainu, the Pirush, the Inyan Vayichta Moshe, Shehu HaShochas Chesomet Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'ayim HaShekosu V'Parshas Bereishis, Save the Ramas L'Hov Inyan Abrach the Pirush, Chosum Torah B'Lamdi Chulu. Zeu Inyan Choysem B'Baruch Hu L'Aishon. There it talks us that you conclude with a Baruch. Aishon. V'ayin Mizeh B'Zoyhar, Soif Parshas Tzav Daf Lamadei Aleph, V'ayim HaShekosu Parshas Mikei D'Yurmandas Chizil Rone V'Simcha Bas, Bepirish titan emes liyakim chulu emimekel. Oy juven in yezeh eich shamshoch zoad eisik atoyra. To understand it further, how do we get it to Torah? Pima shekosum b'mokamacher sev dir ramaschel vaydaber the midbar Sinai. Ubediber ramaschel vaydaber seres adibris. So there it says, Shal yidei eisik atoyra nimshach b'chinas mazlei u'mekoyer dar neshama liyes b'neshama hamulubeshes b'guf chulu einsham. Einsham v'zeu mamish in amshoch b'chinas meitzein l'masei b'chulu. I don't have a beginning of this. Where does this parenthesis begin? Do you have a beginning? I would think perhaps.
Right before there was a long, small reference, and after that should be parenthesis because it's just strict parenthesis with short words.
Yeah, but Ayin Bezoyer has its own end. Yeah, no, this does. This started over here. It started before. This is the beginning. That never ended. All the parentheses. That's it.
This is the beginning, right?
Yeah, that's the beginning. Yeah. So we have it. That's the beginning of this parenthesis. Then it changes. Chulu b'pirish l'chilo.